It's BB MMA picks for UFC Fight Night Paris. We're in Paris, guys. Gane, Tuivasa is the main event this Saturday, September 3rd on ESPN Plus. Joined today by Grayson Betts and, of course, the man himself, VB. VB, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, especially after the week I had. How about you?
Real good. Grayson, thank you for joining us today as well. Great to see you again. Or, I don't know, that's not you. I know that.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm showing off my Twitter profile pic for my other Twitter handle at Dagestan Papi. But yeah, I'm ready to get into it as usual.
Well, if we know you as Dagestan Papi, most of us on Twitter, and hey, let's get into it right away with a guy who was born in Dagestan, some of the cradle, if you will, of MMA fighting and combat sports, but the man who fights currently out of France. These are going to be middleweights. Nasruddin Imavov, the 26-year-old from Russia, but fighting now out of France, is a home bout for him. To a certain extent, going up against Joaquin Buckley, the 28-year-old from St. Louis. Imavov is 11-3, 3-1 in the UFC. He's coming off a win over Shabazian by technical knockout way back last November at UFC 268. He was scheduled last April to go up against Gastelum, but had some visa problems, so he's back in the octagon for this one against Buckley, who's 15-4, 5-2 in the UFC. He's coming off an impressive win over Durev by technical knockout last June. He's had several impressive wins so far in his UFC career. VB Imavov minus 260, the total 1.5 over minus 150.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta give the mic to Grayson for this one. Come on.
Yeah, this is a classic Dagestan Papi max bet spot. Whenever I've got a legitimate Dagestani prospect going up against someone like Joaquin Buckley, he's at least 75%. Like realistically, Imavov is going to be the bigger man. He's going to look a weight class above. His striking, he's on another level. His at-range kicking game is going to keep Buckley confused for the most part. And when it comes to the grappling, Imavov is a step ahead there as well. I think in both the jiu-jitsu and wrestling department, Buckley's going to be looking lost. So to me, Imavov is easily minus 300 here. So I'm going to be having a hefty wager on him.
Yeah, a good take there. What you think about explosiveness, though? Do you think Buckley can catch him?
Buckley's obviously live to catch anybody, but Imavov's never been stopped by strikes, and his style is such that he's really tough to hit. And from a market perspective, Buckley's always going to be overvalued after his most viral moment in UFC history, that spinning kick that everybody's seen a million times. The market always remembers him. He's coming off of a knockout against a fraud Russian, which people are going to keep that in the back of their mind as well. And I think a lot of people are going to be intrigued by the Buckley plus 200, but it's a trap in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, he has some great knockouts. You know, we can't take that away from him. I mean, he has one punch knockouts against Wright. You know, against Arroyo, pretty much there was one punch too. There was that kick, spinning back kick against Impa was, you know, maybe the KO of the year, or maybe the best KO I have ever seen, you know, but it's still not lucky, but it's still, you know, when he fought like guy who could move a little bit in Alessio, he got head kicked, you know. So these guys here who, you know, these guys who he beat are mostly in a pocket exchanging and, you know, getting kicked or cracked, or, you know, Arroyo actually got a little bit tired and got caught. But I think that Imavov is, you know, at this age, 26, I don't want to fade this kind of prospects, you know, especially Imavov's last win was very, very impressive. He destroyed Chapazian everywhere, you know, not only on the ground. I mean, on the feet, he was schooling him. And Shebas is not a bad striker, you know. So, you know, I bet him against Heinrich pretty big. That's the one, and I bet Hose against him because I thought he was a better wrestler, you know. But even against Hose, he looked great in the third round, you know. So I think he's only learned, you know. I mean, he's gonna learn from those fights, and he's gonna be better. And at 26, I think he's improving at a higher, you know, very very good rate, and he can be better every fight, you know, which is another thing. So you can't really back Buckley if you think it's a like stand-up fight, technical fight. You know what I mean? I think if you are breaking Buckley, you're looking for one shot KO early. You know, because Buckley kind of fades away. I wouldn't be surprised if like Imavov takes his back at some point and just wins the whole round, or maybe even gets rear naked choke. So yeah, that's gonna be max play, but it's I'm gonna put him in two parlays with one other fighter. You know, so I'm gonna take him out as well here. I think Buckley, since he joined Bellator and UFC, he hasn't won four in a row. Because if he wins few in a row, then he gets better fighter. He loses, you know. So I think he's gonna lose here too. But you know, I know many people are taking Buckley, and I can also understand why. You know, he has that crazy power. But we are going with Imavov here.
Uh, VB, you mentioned Buckley and these impressive wins that I mentioned, but were those just big class differences pretty much? Class
Um,
of fighter, meaning classy
I mean,
fighter.
I wouldn't say it was a huge class difference. I mean, some of those guys were okay, but like Kevin Holland, you know, I would say is around same level as Imavo. Maybe people would argue he's better, but he got cracked there, knocked out because Kevin can move well, and you know we max bet Kevin twice at welterweight last two times. He looked great, you know. So losing to Kevin Holland is not a bad thing, you know. But I think losing to Dick Kiriko was very bad look. Dick Kiriko usually doesn't knock people out, and guys he's beating are not moving well on the feet. You know, Duraev can't move at all. Razak Al Hassan was dead tired and he barely beat him. If he beat him, some people thought he lost. Arroyo was winning. Maybe it was 1-1. Fair play. He you know he knocked him out. And Jordan Wright, you know, I think that's his best performance actually. You know, because even against the Impact, he lost the first round. You know, in my opinion. In the second, he got that crazy kick. So this guy is always live in a fight, but it's also like how many times do you want to bet on a guy who has a puncher's chance? You know, like I think long term that may be a bad strategy. You know, so yeah, I think Imavov is better than most of those guys he fought. Yeah, 90% of them.
A little bit of a quick turnaround also for Buckley. You don't see too many fighters these days coming back just a little over 2 months off their last fight. So, okay, Imavov it is. Mark it down. We can put them in some parlays. Lay that wood. Whatever you need to do, folks. These are part of VB's fight package that you can get, and these are coming to you absolutely free here on the show each week. All right. Let's move on now and take a look at this one with lightweights. Another Frenchman fighting in front of on home soil, if you will, Benoit St-Denis, the 26-year-old from France. He's 9-1, 1-1 in the UFC. Did lose to Stolz by submission back in June, but he's still a pretty big favorite here, a minus 245 and rising. He's going up against Gabriel Miranda, the 32-year-old from Brazil. Miranda replaced Christos Giagos, who was injured earlier this month, but this is Miranda's first sanctioned bout in nearly a year and his UFC debut. He mostly has fought in Face the Danger and Brave. He has won 3 straight, but again, no sanctioned bouts in 10 months. Guys?
Yeah, you know, when I first saw this fight, you know, I was thinking maybe Miranda had value. I mean, I checked his record. He has like 16 wins, 15 submissions. And I was like, wow, this could be interesting here. That's basically wiki cupping, which I don't do unless I can't find any tape, which, usually that's not a big bet for me if that's the case. Here, I watched tape on Miranda, and man, I was not impressed at all. This guy makes so many mistakes. His cardio is, I don't think it's that good either. He has some submissions, but he was losing a lot of those fights early. You know what I mean? And he was losing it bad. And in the third round, the guy takes him down and controls him, and somehow he gets guillotine from guard. I mean, I don't know how. Like those guys are so low level that it's actually like his record is padded. Even against his losses like Magomedov fight, like those guys are not that good either. So I don't know. I don't think Miranda has a path here. I think St-Denis is better with takedowns, control. He's also short notice for Miranda. I don't just nothing is going his way. His cardio is not good on short notice. Imagine it's even worse. So yeah, I mean, when I saw the fight for the first time, I was like, yeah, I'm probably gonna take Miranda just because of the submission threat. But if you look how he got those submissions, it's so very low level, and basically got guys giving him neck to take it. It just I wasn't impressed. In the third round, he's down 2-0 and against some bomb and basically gets submission. It's just, yeah, no way I'm going to bet Miranda here. Suddenly, I bet him last time against Stolze. He won that fight. Before that, he lost to Zaleski. Zaleski fight was pretty one-sided. But Zaleski also has okay takedown defense and a good striking. So that was acceptable for me. Also short notice. So that wasn't the worst look. And Miranda, I think, I don't think he's UFC level, to be honest. He's very, very one-dimensional. He has quite weak Aztec, He makes a lot of mistakes. Hasn't really fought high-level competition. I guess UFC really, really needed to fight here. You know what I mean? St-Denis from France, and they just gave him one to just win, and I think they just couldn't find anyone else because I don't think Miranda is UFC level. I don't know what Grayson thinks here, but I'm pretty sure Miranda is gonna go up in value too. It's gonna be probably 300, 280 by fight night.
Yeah, it's already on the rise. Look, Grayson, we got a guy, St-Denis certainly a little bit more experienced, but some of the factors that VB mentioned surrounding this bout, I just find it interesting that St-Denis is such a considerable favorite, upwards of 60-65%. Yet the round proposition is 1.5 under, suggesting that one of these guys may be able to win it before half the fight is over, and it would be St-Denis because he's a considerable favorite here. So that would lend me to think that he should be more of a favorite.
It's funny. The total, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I could easily see this fight going over the 1.5 mark. I think Gabriel Miranda doesn't offer anything as far as wrestling goes, but off of his back, he's not completely lost. As far as his path to victory, he's kind of guillotine or bust in my eyes. He's going to be jumping guillotine and pulling guard to try and get to his best spots. And I think Benoit St-Denis is good enough of a grappler with enough awareness to keep his head out of trouble. The only other path I could see from Miranda is pushing a pace, and if his cardio is on point, taking advantage of Denis later on in the fight. But as VB said, on tape, there isn't a whole lot to suggest that Miranda is going to be able to push that pace. But it's his UFC debut. We don't know exactly what we're going to get. So there's enough question marks for me not to want to go crazy on this fight. But I think Benoit St-Denis should be able to implement his game plan of just blast double leg binding, top control to win rounds.
All right, so we're unanimous with Benoit St-Denis in this one. We're going to preview the main event, Cyril Gane and Tuivasa, in just a moment. But VB, got some of your fans in the chat, some of my friends in the chat as well. Shout out to some of them out there, Animal, Beach, and Gerardo, and VB. Everyone cashed in this past week. We didn't have a UFC card, so I said, hey, you got to come up with something so I can get on the air with you and get some winners. And boy, you came through big time with that promotion midweek. VB, tell us about what went on. Promote your fight card, please, for this week as well for UFC Fight Night Paris, the 12-fight card on Saturday at the Accor Arena on ESPN Plus. Your very inexpensive card that everyone will want to grab. But tell me about that card you put together. You know, every card that you put together that's not UFC, you give for free, and you gave us a bunch of winners on that televised card on Amazon Prime.
I mean, where do I even start with that card? Because I don't want to sound arrogant or, I don't want to sound like I'm picking on somebody, but I just don't understand how anyone who cups fights didn't bet DJ at plus 125, I just don't understand it. You don't need to watch anything. I don't care if you're a tape guy, value guy, I don't care what are you doing. If you didn't bet DJ, I just don't understand what you're doing. I'm not saying Moraes was bet, or I'm not saying you are bet capper, but I think people made mistake there not betting DJ. As far as the other fight goes, we hit the guy Sebastian. He got one shot KO power in 40 seconds, plus 225. That's what I got. It moved down to plus 120 or 130, whatever. Then we had that Brazilian guy, Pucheca, who won too. We had freaking girl Hirata, I think, won as well. Ali Akbari won too. So I swept the whole card. I won like 10 units almost, And I mean, I don't know if people, realize how generous that line was on DJ, because he wasn't he was the underdog first time since 2011. You know, like that's crazy stuff right there. I think people are gonna realize that betting on these kind of fights is not the same as you're betting, like, for example, someone like Dominic Cruz. Dominic Cruz is different. He showed against Munoz he was getting dropped. He had some bad moments there. Imavov didn't really show anything. I still think he's better fighter than he was 3 years ago. Even now, I think his knees are very very brutal. He did well. He did well everywhere. He got caught a few times because Moraes is huge, but at plus 125, there was personally for me like top 5 favorite bets of all time. Because you go 10 years playing this guy with props. Me, I was with Demetrius. I was like, should I take KO or Saab to fight some value on this guy for 10 years because he was minus freaking 1,000, every time. And here, moneyline is plus 125. Like, how many ways can DJ win? We are probably never gonna see flying armbar in UFC again. Like, this guy has all kinds of ways to win. He knocked him out, which I didn't expect, to be honest, that much. I thought it was gonna be submission or decision, but that's why you bet this line kind of blindly with people like this. You know, for me, it's between John Jones and DJ as far as the most skilled fighter goes. It goes, you cannot GSP maybe and some other guys, but as far as skill goes, man, I think DJ is even better than John Jones. He's just very, very small man and, different weight class. But yeah, I think, Cameron, what's up? Yeah, man. Cameron, I think, bet DJ pretty big too. That's my guy. Shout out to you. But yeah, I love this other MMA shows. I think Papi is getting into them as well a little bit. I don't know if he listened with DJ, but he had some other bets with me. So I think people are gonna start betting these kind of cards. This ONE FC, Bellator, PFL. There are a lot of good fighters. Like DJ, for example, I think he has the most title defenses in UFC. And some people thought there wasn't high level fight, which is crazy because guy literally is on paper most accomplished, champion in UFC. So I don't know, man. I think card went great. We also had ACA, which is Grayson's realm. He does well with those ACA guys. Um, We also had some other shows. It was a very good week. I had a lot of fun. But this week we are in Paris, so let's break down main event and let me pick some crazy Australian real quick. That guy, Tuivasa. People are gonna say, "Why are you picking him?" But let me tell you why.
Yeah, well,
Let's
don't
move
spill
on.
the beans yet, VB. We got 10 more minutes of fight discussion here. I just want to ask Grayson, the agreement between Amazon and the One Championship. We already know One Championship is one of the top promotions of any sports organization in the world. I think most casual fans might rank Bellator number 2 as far as the ladder of events. But do you see One Championship rising up because of that agreement? That's a lot of money, the Amazon getting involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And their roster has been growing in strength in recent years. I've seen they've added a lot of fighters from the Dagestani region as well, and they're getting into that game. So yeah, they're definitely on the come up, especially like you said with that new deal. A lot of eyes coming in on them for the first time.
Yeah, VB Gerardo, my guy, says signed up for 10 cards. Probably gave him a great deal on something like that. Misses out on the other MMA, but is everything come out on Twitter? All your minor cards?
No, actually not everything, but most of them.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, real good. Let's get into it then with this main event. Probably Dana White probably is guaranteed Cyril Gane to get some fight in France. They've wanted to go there. They're going to be there this Saturday night for UFC Fight Night, and we're going to have the main event with a top French fighter in Cyril Gane, the 32-year-old. He's 10-1, 7-1 in the UFC's. Coming off that loss, guys, we all know, to Francis Ngannou back in January at UFC 270. Nonetheless, that unanimous decision defeat, he is still a $6 favorite or so here against Tuivasa, the 29-year-old Australian, who's 14-3, 8-3 in the UFC. He's coming off three pretty impressive wins, including the last one, a knockout of Lewis in February in UFC 271. So the over/under 2.5, over 35 VB. I don't know. We don't even need any breakdown. You already gave us the pick, but you're gonna have to back it up for us.
Ah man, it's gonna be tough to break it up actually, because I think skill for skill, everybody knows that Cyril Gane is a better striker. He moves better. Probably he has better cardio, but I has more power, and I has one punch knockout power. At heavyweight, that's all I need to get 2 bet plus 450. I just don't see how these kind of odds, and people are betting like Gane in parlays, and they're parlaying, like if I'm betting parlay, I want to have minus 200, 250, not 625. It's not gonna change anything, you know. So I just don't like I don't know how guy who trains in MMA for 3 or 4 years is minus 625 against the guy who's in MMA for like 10 or 11. It's like we saw what happened against Ngannou. Ngannou is not a wrestler. He's been training wrestling for 7 or 8 months, and he mauled Gane, in last 3 rounds. And Gane showed absolutely terrible fight IQ on the ground. He went for heel hook, lost position, lost the round. He couldn't get up. He made a lot of mistakes. And imagine if he slips one time and he gets mounted here or something, or if he gets his back taken and type hammer fists him a few times and knocks him out, because he makes a lot of mistakes in a lot of positions. Not only on the ground, against the fans. He makes a lot of mistakes for me, And I don't think it's like easiest matchup of top 10. It could be, there's some easier fights for him in my opinion. But I think Dai has value here. I mean, most likely it's gonna be gun decision. That's the most likely outcome of this fight, in my opinion. Maybe stoppage, but I mean, those odds I gotta play Thai. It's not a fan talking here because I didn't bet Thai in all of these fights actually, but I mean, I here I gotta take it. It's in Paris. It seems to be like perfect fight for Gane, but I don't think Guy is very motivated to be honest. After he lost to Ngannou, I don't think he's that motivated. He lost a very very close fight to a champion. If he wins here, I don't think he's fighting again for a belt. Ngannou was on one leg and he beat him by wrestling. Like Guy can cage push him, control him, land some bombs. Against Lewis, he landed the elbow against the cage and knocked him out. So at heavyweight, like these guys are so big, they hit very hard, and I just don't see how you lose money long term if you take plus 450 heavyweights, especially in main events. Because in main events we don't have some absolute low level guys, like guys like Alan Boro and Parisian and those guys low level, We have okay fighters in heavyweight, so at main event, so yeah, I gotta take that here. It's more like puncher's chance, which I don't like to bet, but odds are too high. He also can somehow get him down, win there, or maybe cage control and win close fight. You never know. Still, Gun is coming off a loss, which was very devastating in my opinion for him, and that can also play a factor here. The guy is thinking, if I win here, well, what happens? I just maybe need one, maybe two more. So I know Grayson won't agree, but probably I will cringe when I listen to this, in 2 weeks or something. But I'm gonna still take Thai. I
Well,
have to.
I'll set it up then, maybe for Grayson, and give it a little bit of a restart, Grayson, because we understand what VB is saying. I mean, he's not discrediting the ability of Cyril Gane at all. I mean, he deserves to be in fights like this. Probably deserves to headline the first card ever in France, considering his great run in the UFC and the about. That was one of the biggest fights of the past a year or two against Ngannou, certainly, that everybody was fired up about, and it went the distance. Ends up being a unanimous decision. So a close fight, no doubt about it. But I will just mention, I mean, you look at the price there on screen for the fight, Grayson, and look, just a couple of days ago at BetOnline, Gane was minus 550, and now he's up to $6. So if anything, the move is coming in on Cyril Gane still, despite the high-profile nature of this fight.
Yeah, I think the line is generally accurate here. I think VB and I probably disagree only on about maybe a 10% difference, right? Like I doubt VB is giving Tai Tuivasa much greater than a 25% chance here. I just personally think his win equity is priced about right, 10% knockout, and then there's maybe a 5% chance all the other fluke outcomes that he could get. But after the first 3 minutes of this fight, Tai Tuivasa is going to be looking gassed, eating teep kicks, and we've seen Cyril Gane cover this similar stylistic matchup multiple times in guys like Derek Lewis, Jairzinho Rosenstrike. And granted, Tai Tuivasa will go for it a bit more than those guys and put himself into danger. He's not the smartest guy ever, so he's willing to take shots to the head. But Cyril Gane's just too skilled for him at the end of the day. And do I think Tai Tuivasa knocks him out more than 1 in 6 times? I don't. So I'm just going to stay away. If anything, I'd be throwing Gane into those degenerate parlays.
Fair enough. So we have breaking news. We need a graphic for breaking news. Our two expert analysts are going to disagree on this one. No, we don't know if there's going to be, I don't think you can put together, guys, one of those, bets where you guys can send each other something for a minus 625. It's not like it's a toss up here. So respect the pick there at minus 625. This was about VB and getting on Tai Tuivasa. Certainly Grayson respects the number. And like you said, I mean, when you're talking about a $6 favorite and a 85% category, it's an might be an accurate price, and VB just saying, you know what, there's still a puncher's chance in this one because of the nature of the way these two are going at it. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Great breaking down these three fights. And if you want to get VB's card for this Saturday night, UFC Fight Night Paris, on Saturday, September 3rd, the 12-fight card highlighted by this main event, Ciryl Gane, Tuivasa. Contact VB MMA Picks on Twitter. You don't go through an operator. You don't go through some third-party service. You're going to interact directly with the man himself. If you want to ask him a question about a fight or maybe how to bet a fight, he's open to it. You subscribe to him, you're subscribing to VB pretty much. So everyone appreciates that about you, VB. We don't know how you get time to even break down these fights, but you will spend less on VB's fight card this Saturday night than you will on the pizza and beer when you have all your friends over to watch this fight card. 19,000 Twitter followers, can't be wrong. Follow VB MMA Picks on Twitter. And also, VB, great job with that one fight card and all the other cards as well. Appreciate you, Grayson. Yep.
I want to say follow Dagestan Papi as well. You know, he's a very good guy, but underrated. And I want to ask him a question right now. If Ty wins, are you gonna do a shoey?
Should that be the bet? Is a shoey in order if Ty gets the knockout?
Yeah, not the knockout. If he wins.
Oh, come on. Tie decision. All right. But okay, yes.
Does that come on? What does VB get? Because we can't, get VB on, he's a very private man for as popular as he is. We don't see VB, how do we know if VB does any kind of gimmicky payoff on a bet?
Grayson can, figure something out maybe a few days, but as far as now, Grayson is doing shoey on Sunday, guys. So it's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's at -$6, Grayson. You might want to take off both shoes if he goes down in that one, and I bet you gladly will if there's that big of an upset. But hey, VB stakes his reputation on picking some of these upsets. He's got all, he's playing with house units in a way. So respect the man and get his fight card package. Just 12 fights. I mean, again, this is on your fight card, VB, on your betting card, but there's 11 other fights, and you're going to be chock full of picks for everyone. Make sure you contact VB MMA Picks on Twitter. Like I said, his DMs are open. He says it right there. Just want to also invite everyone, including all my friends, hey, join me tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern and 6 a.m. Pacific for my new show on the Tony's Picks YouTube channel. I'm going to be broadcasting 6 days a week, previewing sports picks, and probably also, throwing out some MMA prognostications as well after I read VB's picks and everything. But join me at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific for my new show beginning tomorrow on the Tony's Picks YouTube channel. It's called The Morning Steam, and I'm going to break down the sports betting card, mostly in North American sports and maybe some international soccer and tennis as well. So just want to mention that. And thank you, VB. And thanks for the redesign. Look at our channel looking pretty good with all of our graphics and everything. Thank you so much for doing that, VB. It really takes a lot off my plate. I just pretend to be busy. So thanks a lot. And thank you, Grayson, for joining us. VB, thank you again for all the winners. We'll catch you guys next week for more VB MMA Picks.